And we're back, and today our special guest is Lanny Williams, who wears a couple of different hats here in Tahlequah. He is our Tahlequah City Treasurer, and he's also a local CPA. Lanny, welcome to the show today.
Nice for inviting me.
We appreciate you being here. This is really the kind of the pinnacle of the tax season for individuals and corporations. Let's talk for just a minute about kind of how people need to be aware that there is this time, April 15th, quickly approaching, and if they haven't been prepared, how do they get prepared to finalize this before April 15th?
Well, whatever you can get together by April 15th, if you can file it, you're always better off. By April 15th, you can file for an extension that will last through October 15th, but that doesn't end your responsibility for paying your tax. The interest on what you owe the government starts April 16th, and they'll tax you or make you pay that until you pay it off.
So those things they're inevitable, they're coming, and you better be ready if you haven't taken care of it already.
That's true. And another wrinkle this year, if you don't pay in enough estimates and you do apply for an extension, the IRS, if they don't think you've paid enough, they're going to rescind that and make you pay penalty for not filing an extension.
So just kind of a general guideline at this point, if a person hasn't really adequately prepared and all of a sudden the panic button's getting ready to be touched, what's the best steps 1, 2, 3 that they need to do? Obviously they need to contact a professional.
Professionals are always the best. They know the timetables, they know what to do, and plus they're required to file it online, zap it to the IRS, and it's there. You don't have to worry about the mails, and get it done by April 15th.
That's the main thing, is the time, the clock's running, and it's quickly approaching. Let's talk just a minute about, with the talk of the new environment for health care, and there are significant changes in how that's going to impact both individuals and corporations as they move the health care from a tax liability or a requirement to be in or out, and how that's going to impact those of us taxpayers.
Well, during 2010, the new act that was passed, if an employer has more than 25 employees, they can get a credit for providing health insurance. Employers with more than 200 employees and they have a health insurance plan, all new employees have to be provided that health insurance. Self-employed people can deduct health insurance for dependents under 27 years old instead of cutting it off at 21 or 24 years old.
Is that going to be effective in 2010?
Starts this year.
Well, starts this year, immediately?
It's supposed to.
Okay.
Independent insurance companies are supposed to cover dependents 27 years, under 27 years old. They cannot rescind policies except for fraud or misrepresentation.
And that's immediate?
That's immediate. No discrimination based on wages, and they're prohibited from excluding children under 19 with pre-existing conditions.
So a lot of impact on both families and corporations. Yes. And again, the best advice is to contact a tax professional. Make sure that you have all of those identified that may affect you or your family or your business this year.
And that's just a few of the things that have happened now. Until the end of the year, there's going to be other things that happen. So you have to stay on top of it, and professionals are required to do that.
And so the key to that is to connect with a professional such as yourself, a local CPA that has great information and access to the rapidly changing environment that we're going to live in. And I'm assuming, and I heard you use the term influx, and that's going to be maybe the key word for the next 3 or 4 years.
Yes, they'll implement different acts of this over the next few years. And also the people who prepare taxes, starting next year, they're going to start regulating these kind of people, and they're going to have to take tests, and they're going to have to do continuing ed. But if you come to a CPA, they're already accepted by the government. We already have the knowledge base and the continuing ed, so we can do you a good job.
So keep those tips in mind as you prepare this year and then plan ahead in years in the future. Also, we're very fortunate. Lanny's been our city treasurer for how many years?
10 years.
It seemed, yeah. Well, Lanny and I came in about the same time when I was elected mayor. And tell us a little bit about our city finances and where we are. A lot of attention in the news about municipal tax revenue, sales tax, and implications that the economy is having on that. Compare Tahlequah maybe to some of the other cities.
Tahlequah in general usually lags behind the rest of the state and the United States. Almost a year behind does it start affecting us. And in the last 6 or 7 months, our sales tax revenues, which is the substantial part of our income for the city, has started to dip. For the year, we are down 4.2% over last year.
So some decline, but compared to, say, like Tulsa, that's down 10, 11, 12%, some of the bigger communities?
We're in great shape compared to them. Plus, we always keep a reserve. So we're looking out for these kind of contingencies. And we're not in great shape, but we're going to still provide the services we need to service.
And so looking ahead for this year, knowing you're very knowledgeable about the economy and taxes and those kind of things, how will the current status affect us in future months? I know the city process getting ready to plan for the next budget cycle, and I guess that's or maybe it's already started. But how do you predict that's going to impact future budgets and plans here in Tahlequah?
Well, we've already started putting our budget together, and this budget will also include the bond issue we just passed. Approximately $4.8 million will be available for capital improvements. We will budget that, but our general revenues, we're anticipating having to slash them at least 5 to 6%, and we have to have our budget process done by June. So the mayor will be proposing the budget to the council next month.
Well, I know you and I went through this process back 01, 02, long in there when the 9/11 hit and we had to adjust budgets. There was a dip, but we were lucky enough and fortunate enough that it moved itself back up quickly. And from what you're saying, this may be a prolonged recovery for the city of Tahlequah,
well,
like everybody else.
We've got to wait and look and anticipate what's going to happen, but we're expecting it to come out to the good in the next year or so. But we're going to go ahead and cut for this new fiscal year, and we will add back as revenues increase.
And so that'll be July 1, 2010 to end of June 2011 budget cycle.
Yes.
Well, Lanny, we appreciate you being here today. Those are all complicated topics, whether we're talking about the city budget process or planning and estimating taxes and going through the process of filing those returns. So we appreciate you being here today. And maybe after we get the new budget set and things kind of moving forward, we'll invite you to come back on and tell us a little bit about how the projections are fulfilling themselves.
I'd be glad to.
Well, thanks a lot for being here, and we'll be right back. Don't go away.